Very impressive for GTII to maintain its posture. Let's go ahead and validate what could be happening for the coming sessions for GTII. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so we are looking at GTII on the daily chart here, and I wanted to point out to you that the daily momentum is actually pivoted straight to the upside right now, and it is suggesting a continuation to that upside even still. Okay, another thing to notice here is that we did face a little bit of linear regression here, and it is respecting it pretty nicely, which is awesome. Usually not, this actually doesn't happen too often in the markets, right? But it's very good to see that it is, in a sense, happening, right? So let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we got. Okay, so on the 5-day volatility versus momentum, it's looking like the 3-day exponential moving average is starting to correct to the upside, and it may just start influencing that 14-day simple moving average soon enough. Okay, so this is good, but the reason I'm actually pulling up volatility versus momentum in several time frames is because there is some type of signal or a sign that a continuation to the upside could be soon. Okay, so now looking at the 3-day volatility versus momentum profile, you can see here that we're actually, regarding that trend line regression, we're looking at a potential correction. We were waiting for this to close, right? We haven't looked at GTII in a couple of days, so now we have almost 2 days to close this candle here, this last candle. But what I wanted to point out is that we were sitting right at about here, and we were I was very curious to see what the price action, was going to do to the momentum based on the closure of this green candle, which is, by the way, let me just go ahead and show you something, okay? Which is, by the way, very, very important that we did close this candle in this form. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this, yes, it does appear to be more of a spinning top doji than not, but please notice that the wick is still slightly longer to the downside than it is to the upside, which would be indicative of maybe a bullish hammer at the end of a downtrend, which is very bullish. Now, what usually confirms the upside after a hammer is printed is the following candle. So it was very important for us to print this above the opening of this candle here. So we definitely did that, and now the price action is starting to react as such. Okay, so this is good. This is very good. Now momentum looks like it's starting to pivot, and it's looking like it's starting to correct here. So we may very well experience here a continuation onto the upside in the coming days. Okay, so this is very good and a great bullish statement for GTII. The next very important thing that we were talking about was that we absolutely needed to recover the inside of this channel and close candles inside of it, not with any wicks to the downside outside of the bottom support. We absolutely got a daily candle closed right inside of this. So you're looking at two 12-hour candles here, which are actually part of the day. Let me just show you the daily, sorry. Of course, it's of course, the lines are gonna change because of the time frame. We're trading this on the 12-hour, but just know that these 12-hour candles have closed inside of the channel, which is absolutely bullish and still suggesting a continuation onto the upside. We absolutely met the targets that we've been talking about, almost right to the penny, right? So it is normal for us to find this right here. If even if we actually found ourselves to come back down to test the newly converted resistance of this triangle into support, that's great, because we would actually find support from the NOT 618 at 156 before a massive bounce to the upside. It doesn't always have to do that. Okay, it really doesn't always have to do that. But and also the trend line from the triangle could even be adjusted, because there's still, for example, here, let me show you. For example, here, I'm not touching the inside of that. For example, here, there's many ways to look at these things, right? So if we're looking at this, we're still below it, right? So if we're looking at this wick right over here, then this one right over here, then we got pretty close to coming down to validate that support. We didn't actually touch it, but it's close enough, right? But still, I want to make sure that you guys know that if it is required, or if sentiment feels like we need to come back down and validate this area, then so be it. It's good, okay? Because first of all, we bounced inside of this area. We came back and tested this newly converted resistance and support. We actually came back, right? And we bounced right upside of this again. So there are a few potentials here that we can actually face from bottom side supports, okay? So two very important areas of support are located there. But I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just telling you that the possibilities are there, but we have extremely good support back to, back down to these levels, 156 to about 147. Okay, you guys, but actually everything in price action is still suggesting an upside continuation, so I'm not even sure that that's even going to be a viable option right now. Okay, so the GTII is definitely loading volatility and momentum towards that upside, so I highly suggest otherwise for short positions. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets whatsoever, okay? I need you to do your own due diligence. Everything will be just fine, okay, you guys? So let's go ahead and now continue on the next chart and see what we have for GTII, okay? So please notice right in here that we actually gathered ourselves right within the trading range that we've been using for quite some time now, and we are safely within it. We actually came right back down and tested the support of this, which was actually a rejection from both the knot 618 and the knot 786, which is really weird because the knot 786 is not typically used, right? So but yeah, we still use the knot 618 and the bottom side of our trend line here, or our box, or the chop box, right? So we found that support, continued on to the upside, and it looks like we are still moving in that direction. Now let's go on to the last part of the analysis, which would be the RSI. Let's start off with the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame, and you can actually see that we have a slight pullback coming in the immediate short term. Remember, this is likely to live out really fast, okay? And what's essentially telling us that we're going to continue on to the upside after a very short-term pullback is actually the 4-hour time frame. The RSI signal is sitting right within that gravitational zone of the bull weakness percentile. We have a little bit of a hint from that 14-day simple moving average suggesting an upside continuation as well. Okay, very important cross above the 14-day simple right over here and suggesting that upside. Nice. So now the 8-hour time frame also crossed upside of the 14-day simple moving average represented by the pink line. And we are getting extremely close to that gravitational zone of the bull weakness percentile. Similar situation to the 4 hours. So this is looking very good. All right, so now the 12-hour time frame is suggesting a little bit of consolidation. We still have a little bit of an upside bias from that 14-day simple. Let's move on. Okay, so the bi-daily time frame is in a little bit of a it's actually in a precarious situation here. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it looks like it's making a bearish cross below that 14-day simple. What could be a saving grace for the bi-daily time frame, and I mean, for that matter, even the 5-day or the 3-day, would be the shorter term time frames. Okay, so if the shorter term time frames, meaning if sentiment actually dives into the asset and aggressively purchase this, then the higher term time frames would likely flash to the upside upon a closing basis of their candles, right, for their time frames. So yeah, I mean, everything is kind of suggesting an upside as such. Of course, it's a little bit of a bias of neutrality here, right? But we have to know that tomorrow is, Jerome Powell. He's going to put his testimony in from the Federal Reserve. Okay, so we may see a lot of this sideways bias, as we go into tomorrow's testimony for Jay Powell. Okay, you guys, so please refer to the links in the description below for you to consider joining the ARCa Bulls trading community. And also, please visit me on Twitter, right? So for short-term targets, guys, I think we may actually have a little bit of thrust left in us to try and touch that 194 tomorrow. Okay, so if we touch that 194 at that 1.618, we would very likely actually come back to about 181, to the range of 181 to 177, and test this as a valid area of support before a continuation onto the upside. So yeah, it's likely it could happen. Okay, I just wish that that momentum was actually favoring the upside a little more aggressive But very important thing here, actually, last thing I want to just talk to you about is, let me pull up the EMAs, try to get a little more surgical with this. And okay, so definitely not. So we found that support from both the 50-day simple moving average and the 100-day simple moving average on the 12-hour, right? So we found that bounce, continued on to the upside. And if we were to make an upside move in a more aggressive manner, then that'll give you two targets, okay? Very likely we can see 194, right? And the other target would be at the SMA 200, located right near the 2.272, okay? So that would give us a range of about 218 to about 215, okay? So we'll make a little box right over here so that we can evaluate later. So this is essentially what I'm looking at for the coming days for GTII, right? So please remember, we do have a macroeconomic catalyst coming up. If things go bad, then very likely everything under the moon would capitulate, right? So let's just go ahead and make sure that we can respect our stop losses, respect our risk management, and trade responsibly, okay, you guys? But with that said, I wish everybody well, a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.